Testing. 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 Can you hear me? Hi, John. Thank you for joining. Thanks for confirming as well. Happy Sunday. We'll give it a few minutes. We'll wait and let others join in before we begin. Where are you watching from, John? Happy Sunday, man. Oh, that's right, Florida. How's the weather over there? Is it like hot? Finally got some warm weather out here in the Bay Area. It's in the high 80s where I'm at. I bet it's humid out there too, huh? All right, so we'll give it about another minute or so before we begin. But welcome everyone. Let me know where you're all watching from. Put it in the comments. I appreciate you all joining here. Happy Sunday, all. And we get a day, Labor Day tomorrow, which is going to be, very nice. So definitely, take a moment to breathe when the stock market's, it's closed. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of people who are busy, today with events and all that, especially with it being a 3-day holiday. Daniel, thanks for joining. Ohio, soon to be Myrtle Beach this week if Clean Spark would go up. Yeah, I know there's a lot of, things on our mind, especially with the markets closed during this 3-day event. Just Keep Gaming, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Where are you watching from? Put it in the comments. We got John from Florida, Daniel from Ohio. Just Keep Gaming. Oh, John, yeah. I mean, sometimes, you can't really predict the future, right? But sometimes, you like the use case of things and you just go with it. So I like the use case of Opendoor Technologies as well. So we'll go through all those details. All right, Just Keep Gaming from Arizona. I bet it's really hot over there. How hot is it right now where you guys are from? Welcome everyone. Digistin, John from California. That reminds me, StarCraft, Stim Pack on the, the Marines. 105 degrees, not too bad. Well, as long as we're indoors right now, we'll stay cool, we'll stay dry, we'll stay, re-energized before the markets open. 83 degrees, Florida. 116 degrees. Oh my goodness, yeah. That's tough. Soon I'll be traveling to Vietnam and Korea, like late October, November time. It's going to be humid out there as well, but I'd love to, just experience the environment there. It gets very humid out there as well. We were there last year to Vietnam and Korea. We're going back because we love it out there. It's just beautiful. Food is great, culture is great, prices, you can't compare to the US. All right, guys, but we'll go ahead and continue right now. I got a lot of information I'd like to share with you all, and then we'll go through some Q&A. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so I'll go through all the contents, and then we'll start Q&A. So definitely hold on to your questions, put it in the chat as well, and we will be going through it. I'll be going for 3 weeks, but I'll try to record as well when I can, when I get back to the room and all that. So I'll still continue to make some videos as well along the way. All right, guys. Well, welcome. Let's get started now. So, any questions, requests, put in the chat. We'll do Q&As later, but let me go ahead and share with you all some, stuff that I've gathered, and I'd like to just, relay it back to you all. So welcome, guys. Happy Sunday. Happy 3-day weekend. Bitcoin and Ethereum. I mean, these two are moving up over the weekend. What happened last week? We had an early dump. That's expected, right? I mean, end of month, people are just, taking profits, holding onto their cash. They don't want to hold on to the, investments through the 3-day weekend. It's all driven from uncertainty of what could happen next week. But the good news is Bitcoin and ETH are holding up quite well right now. So, one of the things I want to point out is as we look at, Ethereum price, we're hovering above the Ichimoku cloud right now. So, during Friday, there was some nice, not nice, but there were some pullbacks. It got down to like 4,200, and now we're climbing back up. We're hovering above the Ichimoku cloud. I think before markets open, we're going to get somewhere around at a minimum 4,600 before Tuesday. Bitcoin, hovering right below 109,000. I mean, it got to 109,000 earlier during the day, but we will see. I think, as we head towards Tuesday, we might very well get to 110,000 up. All it takes is one little mini green candle, and we're already out of this Ichimoku cloud. So I believe in the use case, Bitcoin, it has yet to break out. And this is good. I mean, especially with volatility to the downside. I mean, especially with it going to like 24,000 and dropping to 108,000. That's going to give that feel for it to just shoot up. So definitely some opportunity, even though we've been seeing pullbacks with Bitcoin and Ethereum. All right, so here's an interesting post I want to share with you. Rep Fencer. So September dump is not coming. Bitcoin already front ran the sell-off. It played out the same way in 2017. Bears will miss the pump again. So let's take a look. Back in 2017, around August, September timeframe, what had happened? Bitcoin, it dropped. Everyone thought it was going to be over. Similar deal, 2025, as we're in the September timeframe, people were thinking, oh, Bitcoin is, it's pulling back. The cycle's already over. But you know what? We even heard from Eric Trump that Bitcoin is going to be going to 175,000. I believe that's where we're going to land. Tom Lee was forecasting 180 to 220,000. That was his forecast. So definitely a huge upside to come, and we're not bullish enough. All right, so let's take a look at, Calio. So he posted, ETH September is coming. So, September is coming actually. So for Ethereum, he's forecasting, September timeframe, we're gonna, top above $8,000 for Ethereum. That's like a 1x from here on out. So I definitely do think that we have opportunity as we head into the later phase of this month, September. Milk Road, ETH has the fifth largest ETF in the US by inflows. 3.85 billion flowed into, ETHA, that's, BlackRock's ETF in August alone. It's a new fund, just 14 months old, and achieving inflows that typically take decades for most ETFs. So Wall Street is coming for your Ethereum. So just look at that. I mean, ETHA, this ETF provides exposure to Ether. Definitely some huge upside. A lot of people are locking into ETHA. We've heard of ETFs like VOO. It's been around for many, many years. But overall, ETHA, I think Wall Street understands the use case with Ethereum, and that's why a lot of financial institutions, BlackRock, Fidelity, retail, they're loading up right now. All right, so let's take a look. I mean, there's whales that are buying up MSTR right now. So $2.4 million bull bet for next week expiration. That's like a weekly call option right now. And why is this the case? I mean, we're hearing about potential S&P 500 inclusion for MSTR. What does that mean? I mean, this call option can print significantly. I mean, you're buying a $2.4 million call option that's going to be expiring within a week by September 5th. You only have 4 days of trading. So think about that. And if MSTR rockets above this price range, this whale is going to make huge money. And I think what's coming is potential S&P 500 news that's going to be coming for MSTR. And once that happens, think about the whole entire world, the workforce. They'll be somehow owning Bitcoin because they're leveraging strategy with it being part of 401k funds. Heisenberg posts, ETH looking steady. If it can get back towards 4,600 by Tuesday, should bode well for SBET and BMNR, which we'll be covering as well. So definitely some nice movements with Ethereum right now. We go back. I mean, Ethereum at 4,000, close to 4,500. So not too far away, to 4,600. So I think, we have some bullish opportunities. I posted earlier about BMNR. So this is why we BMNR. Tom Lee, Fundstrat, he's actually the chairman of BMNR. BMNR is the face of Wall Street, and we're seeing a transformation with digital finance. We're now seeing Ethereum treasury companies like BMNR tokenizing Ethereum as a form of digital assets. So what does that mean, tokenizing? Well, you got people buying tokens of Ethereum as a way to invest their money, and as a result, the value of Ethereum goes up if there's more buyers. And basically, you're investing into a digital asset, a token. And the fact that BMNR holds 1.8 million tokens of ETH, any movement with Ethereum, that'll exponentially boost up BMNR's market cap, because that's all unrealized gains. So definitely be more bullish. Bitmine is the alchemy of 5%. So, I'm very bullish on BMNR as well as other ETH treasury related companies. So definitely, there's use case that I believe has opportunity. And I also posted, this is why we SBET. So SBET is a company, that is an ETH treasury company. They have like close to 800,000 tokens of Ethereum. They actually have, key performance indicators that they have on their website. We'll go through that. I mean, the key thing that I like is that transparency goes a long way. So you look here, their average cost out of like the 800,000 ETH that they actually have on hand right now, average cost is 3,500 per token, while ETH currently is hovering at the support at around less than 4,500. So over $1,000 for every coin. So $1,000 difference, and they have close to about 800,000 ETH tokens. Think about Q3 earnings update. That's all going to be unrealized gains, because they've been just buying all of this Ethereum, around Q3 timeframe. So that's going to be very bullish, and I think they're going to be announcing some solid numbers from a financial earnings perspective. All right, so let's continue. we'll go through Q&A after I go through all this, but definitely hold on to all your questions. So Mara, what I really like about Mara is monthly candle. We see these candles here. They each represent a month. Monthly candle shows consistent green from a zoomed out perspective. The fourth consecutive month candle did come with volatility. So if you look at my mouse right here, it's that fourth month. So that fourth month, even though it showed as green, it was actually around $21, but then it peaked down to $15 for that month. It still ended green, but there was a lot of volatility there. I'm expecting big vertical monthly green candles to come with Bitcoin moving up. In fact, I actually bought some call options, on Friday. That's going to be expiring September 5th, next Friday. I really think that, Mara has the opportunity for nice bullish run-ups, with the current price, come next week, it may very well shoot up 16, 17, $18, you name it. But I think, there's going to be some nice activities, especially with Bitcoin having a nice reversal as, we're headed, into the upcoming week. Riot platforms, let's take a look at what Calio posted. So he's saying not asking for much here. This was back in August 20th, but with his drawing, I mean, during that time, it was hovering around 1253. It currently is like, it's moving up, getting close to breaking out of this resistance. But he has September where price is going to land somewhere around $26 for Riot platforms. So definitely be on the lookout for Riot as well. So let's go through some updates. So Eric Jackson, if you're not following him, I highly recommend giving him a follow if you believe in the open use case. I do. I mean, the open army is getting bigger, stronger, and louder. This is a video from, from Saving Private Ryan. Open army is getting bigger. In fact, Goldman Sachs, they bought millions of shares of Opendoor not too long ago. So Heisenberg posts, go to the US Open, buy front row seats, have a sign that says open, make sure you get on national TV with it. That's hilarious. Eric Jackson, reposts, it's the talk of the US Open this year. So Open is going to revolutionize the real estate industry. So they're going to be like the next Carvana stock. Instead of cars, people are able to buy, sell their homes online without the hassle of having like a realtor agent. Here it is, open sign. So are we going to see this at the next US Open tennis event? Mike posts is breaking open. So 13F filing, Cube Research and Technologies, $28 billion fund initiate a massive brand new position on open with 12 million shares. That's huge. And also Goldman Sachs, buying into Opendoor. So we talk about, retail buying Opendoor. We talk about, how open is a meme stock. I think it's more of a cult stock right now. We've seen the strength of retail pushing up stock prices. I think there's reason to believe open has potential for what, stock playmaker is saying. List of stocks that can, 50 to 100% run in the next week. We're getting a lot of traction with open. I mean, the last week there were top 3 in terms of most stocks traded, along with call options, right behind, Tesla and Nvidia. So open was top number 3. Professor also posts about open. When it starts with a bang, it ends with the boom. Second consolidation underway. No need to guess the targets. Just look at the chart. So he's saying it's consolidated right now, but he's forecasting somewhere around September. We're going to get somewhere around to the $8 range. I posted open wants $10. It's coming as the global open army is getting bigger, stronger, and louder, led by Open General. 8-bit Stevio. I highly recommend giving this guy a follow as well. 8-bit Stevio, if you believe in the use case as well. Eric Jackson. So what's interesting was that, back then, like a couple years ago, Eric, he emailed, Ernie Garcia, part of the Carvana team. This was when Carvana was like at $9 single digits after bottoming at $3.50. And then, he got a response back. Eric got a response back from Ernie a few weeks ago. Carvana, it hit $413. Just think about that. going from single digits to $413. So what Eric is saying is Carvana was just as special at $3.50, $9.42 as it is now, like all of us. Yes, we are special. Um, is Opendoor going to play out the same way as Carvana? I think the use case is very bullish here. In fact, even more bullish. And I think with Eric Jackson, I mean, his price target originally was $82 for 2028 year. I mean, this was back in July, but now he's upping up the game. He's saying that come 2029, which is not too far away from here, like, less than 3.5 years, Opendoor Technologies has potential to go to $500. So can you imagine right now, $4, stock going to $500 in 4 years? I mean, holding that long term for 3.5 years and you have it appreciate from like single digits to $500. That's how you make big bucks in this game. So definitely some huge upside for Opendoor. Let's take a look at, BitMine Immersion Technology. So we're looking at their website. They have like a social media feed, BitMine, BMNR. Give, BMNR a follow if you like the use case. But overall, they've added, new board of directors, David's operational experience that's going to help, transform the company to make it even bigger. Back in August 24, they disclosed that they have, 1.7 million tokens of ETH. They actually have 192 Bitcoin also. So, one thing to keep in mind is they were previously a Bitcoin mining company, and because of the expenditures with, capital and, competition, they decided to pivot to become a full-on e-treasury company, following Saylor's playbook, in fact. So, just with their overall goal, their plan is to be the alchemy of 5%, owning 5% of the entire ETH supply. So definitely very, very bullish with BMNR. Yes, we've seen some pullbacks, but that's only a matter of time. Capitulation right now is kicking in before things start reversing. Similar to SharpLink, I like SharpLink. Capitulation is definitely the word right now. SBET price $17.82, extremely undervalued. I think things are going to turn around. So even if you bought higher cost average, including myself, I'm still bullish because I think that there's going to be a use case with SBET, going up from here on out. Current ETH price, hovering at around 4,000, let's say less than 4,500. But you look at the average price paid for Ethereum. Look at that. I mean, there were instances when they paid ETH 2,600, but they've been aggressively buying, ramping up their total HODL rate. Especially with the month of August, buying additional ETH tokens, but they won't stop. It's similar to MSTR. It doesn't matter if it's high or low; they will continue to stack Sats, stack Ethereum in this case. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some technicals. So let's say if you like strategy, I think strategy, they might have a very nice potential reversal coming up. We've been hearing a lot about S&P 500. It may very well be that strategy gets added to S&P 500. Who knows? What if it's like this upcoming week? If that gets announced, we're going to see like a 20-30% field day increase, and it'll be a matter of time until they get back to 550. If that news gets announced, we're going to get back to 550 within a matter of weeks in September, October, definitely. Just looking at Opendoor Technologies, I mean, to me, even though the current price right now is at $4.45, anything, below $5, which it currently is definitely a steal. Some of you may have bought, at higher, like, when it was above $5. That's okay. This cup and handle formation is playing out. I think in the month of September, we're going to see a potential short squeeze. It might even go to like $15. Who knows? I mean, September, I'm saying it's going to go somewhere around that, $10. But, that's just on a moderate scale. Anything can happen. We've seen, what had happened like during COVID time when stocks just went vertical with GameStop, with, AMC, Zomedica. anything can happen right now. The use case of Opendoor is getting very strong right now. Let's take a look at BTBT on the monthly candles. What are we seeing? We saw just extreme, drawdowns, and just looking at it, I mean, it keeps getting rejected around this price of $5.80. On a monthly scale, it's been pulling back since, currently at $2.57. I think we're going to start seeing more green candles on the monthly. So definitely undervalued. I do think BTBT has potential. They actually hold 120,000 tokens of ETH, and they have shares of white fiber. So that's going to be very bullish, especially modeling AI and holding on to Ethereum as well. So they pivoted from becoming a Bitcoin mining company to Ethereum Treasury. So BTBT, be on the lookout for them. 257. You can't go wrong with that price point. Mara. So we talked about Mara. So we're looking at Mara on the monthly scale. Yes, it's not performing like what we're seeing like with Cypher, with Iron, but you know what? Everything comes in ebbs and flows. I actually bought weekly calls of Mara that's going to be expiring next week on Friday. I like the use case. I think as we head into the upcoming week, we may very well see a nice bounce up for Mara. I also own shares of Mara as well. I do think it's only a matter of time when this puppy's going to start going vertical. Mara has over 50,000 Bitcoins. That's no joke. And everything just comes in cycles right now. We haven't seen the big three miners really take off yet, aside from, companies that are, positioned with HPC AI Bitcoin. But the big three miners are just slow laggards. They're going to be catching up as well. So definitely there's going to be money inflows coming back into the OGs. RIOT platforms. I'm bullish on RIOT platforms as well. I think that we have an opportunity for something that we will not see in a very long time. We had some near resistance rejections like 5 times already with RIOT's price, hovering in this long-term bull flag. But I think now it's time for RIOT to break out of this resistance. As soon as we cross beyond that, that price point around $4.50, I think this puppy's going to be flying, and we're going to see it, ramp up, above $20 on the near term as we head into September timeframe. So definitely be on the lookout, because once this puppy runs, we can see what it had done back in the last Bitcoin bull cycle. In the cycle before that, it goes vertical. Let's take a look at CleanSpark. So CleanSpark, similar deal. I mean, Mara had, a big pullback. RIOT had a pullback. It's climbing. CleanSpark had a significant pullback, currently at 947. Everyone's like wondering what the heck is going on. You take a look at this. We're seeing a change in the direction. We're seeing a small mini green MACD signal. RSI is extremely oversold. I think this is the time to either hold dollar cost average, just remain patient. Things are going to turn around. I think CleanSpark is actually going to outperform Iron through the rest of 2025 at the current price point and its appreciation value. So RSI looking oversold. Things are going to reverse back. Soon enough, we're going to see $18. What drops very quickly like that can pop up significantly. BMNR, I'm very bullish with BMNR. I hold BMNR as well. It's just hovering in this flag right now, and it's only a matter of time until it breaks out of it. This can't be suppressed for long. We know the use case. Eventually, BMNR is going to start growing like MSTR. We've seen how MSTR's share price had gone up. It went through reverse splits. Eventually, BMNR is going to get into triple digits as Ethereum continues to appreciate in value. So BMNR is going to be, one of those companies that it's going to be, very big and eventually become part of the S&P 500 as well. SBET, number 2 ETH treasury company right behind BMNR. They have like half of, less than half of what, BMNR has, but the use case is very good. Current price, around $17. I definitely do think that's undervalued. We're at that capitulation moment where everyone has given up hope. But I think that in the coming weeks, September, we're going to see price get back to, that $34 range before we step up into that $60 range more towards the late phase of 2025. So definitely be on the lookout. We've seen SBET, have two rising moments, and it's only a matter of time. It's consolidating, it's priming for that next leg up. As we look at, different value stocks, we also have to keep in mind that AI is here to stay. Mostly everyone nowadays uses like, ChatGPT, Grok to really help them with their day-to-day productivity. So BBAI, I think, has potential as well. Where we currently stand with BBAI, it's been bleeding out since like July. So, it's been bleeding for like almost 8 weeks now. And what goes down is significantly low. I mean, overbought 80 RSI, overbought territory where we are right now. It's getting close to the oversold signal. So definitely de-risked opportunity as, RSI has dropped significantly. And with that long duration of a pullback, I think BBAI is eventually going to have a reversal. I think, soon enough, we're going to see a bounce back to $6, $7, and then we start climbing up to $8. If you like Ethereum treasury companies, be on the lookout for this one. ETHZilla goes by ETHZ. I definitely do think that it's in capitulation mode. At one point, it ran all the way up to $17 since August 13. Now that we're August 31st, 2 weeks later, it's bled out significantly. It's dropped such at rapid pace, but I think, the bottom is in. This biotech company converted to become an e-treasury company. They have like, over 100,000 Ethereum tokens on their balance sheet, and they won't stop. They will aggressively continue to buy. I think we're going to see a rocket launch similar to how we've seen BMNR stock price had gone. It went up and then it just flattened out and then popped up with the U shape. So be on the lookout for some nice returns on ETHZ. Let's take a look at HIMS. So HIMS, I like HIMS because it had a big drawdown from its run up top of $70. I mean, $70 since July 31st. It's been bleeding for a month now, 4 weeks straight. RSI is getting close to oversold. We're also seeing MACD bearish convergence. But overall, we see higher lows. I think that, now is the time, is definitely de-risked. Let's say if you like, investing. One moment, I need to charge my laptop. Thank you, guys. One thing to keep in mind is just looking at HIMS, I think there's upside, especially with healthcare. Healthcare hasn't been very bullish since like COVID time, right? During that time, things were like very bullish with healthcare. You have like OSCR, you have HIMS. HIMS had a nice run up from like July to August, but since then it's been bleeding out. But because it dropped from like 70 to 42, that's like a $30 drawdown within a month. What goes down very quick can have a pop up very quick. And we've seen those vertical green candles coming in February and May, in July. So it's only a matter of time when we will see it yo-yo back up. All right, so Robinhood, I'm very bullish with Robinhood. I think that we may very well also hear potential news of them getting added to S&P 500. So, Robinhood is like bigger than Coinbase when it comes to market cap. User interface is way better. They have stocks. They have, crypto trading. I mean, they have mortgage, programs on their, application. So Robinhood is really the future. You have Gen Z really liking Robinhood as well. So it's really the future of, of financial trading, investing. I use Robinhood as well. I really love it. And that's why I believe that Robinhood eventually, I think in the month of September, early or mid-September, we may very well have it pop back to the 130 range. But I'd say somewhere around that, 128 is a reasonable target, as we are heading into September timeframe. All right, so one hot stock you don't want to miss out. And again, take my information as guidance. Anytime when you invest, always do your research, understand why you're invested into something. But you know what? I'm very bullish on DJT. I really believe that we're going to see a vertical green candle coming. Look at how many vertical green candles we saw back in January 2024, back in March 2024, April 2024, September 2024, a mini one in January, a mini one in April. We haven't had that since. It's been just bleeding out. But with DJT, they have 15,000 Bitcoin on their treasury. They now own 20% of CRO, crypto.com, and we've seen CRO coin like just go up like about 100% with that news. Why is it that DJT stock hasn't gone up yet? Market makers is the reason why. They will send it when they want to send it, and I think that it's going to be coming when we least expect it, but it's going to be coming this year. So be on the lookout for DJT. You can't suppress this for long when you have DJT stock looking like this. All right, another altcoin that I want to put on your radar is Pudgy Penguins, Pengu. They could very well be like the next Dogecoin. I like Dogecoin as well. I believe in Dogecoin use case. I also believe in Pengu. I think that Pengu has the opportunity, currently hovering in this bull flag. At one point, it got up to like, 4.047 cents. It pulled back to, currently 0.029. Definitely undervalued. Why? It's consolidating, and we're going to see it break out very soon. All right. So I hope that was helpful. I mean, I did talk a lot. I had gone through all of the information that I had prepared. Now I'm going through the comments, the chats to see what everyone has posted. So thank you all for listening. DigiStem, thanks for all your vids on BMNR and SBET. I really like these stocks. Question: since current NAV is close to $39, how much lower do you think it can fall below NAV? So DigiStem, one of the tough things is right now it's kind of like, why is it that BMNR, SBET, why is it going down? I think all of that was attributed to market uncertainty with the Federal Reserve. Are they going to be cutting interest rates? And right when we had Jerome Powell announce that news, things just started ramping up, and then since then it's been dropping. One thing you got to factor in is people think, oh, September, October is going to be the month of volatility and all that, but don't worry, it's just market makers are just shaking out retail. They're trying to gain on the stop losses right now. So BMNR getting close to like $40 range. People do have stop losses around that range. They're just trying to do one last wipeout with SBET, BMNR before it'll start taking off. So just remain patient. Things are going to reverse. So Ignacio, I have an under the radar stock. They supply the cooling liquid that all of these new AI chip companies will need. They sell the shovel to the gold diggers. So what would that be, Ignacio? All right. So Bella and Scott, 132 versus 100 billion open. Ignacio holding open at $1.70. Congratulations on that. Katie was able to join. So I hope you had a nice event with the family and all that. Clean Spark is a crapper. My Lexus might be a new Kia if this keeps up. Don't worry, Clean Spark is going to have a reversal. I think, with all of the leadership change, Matthew Schultz, Clean Spark finally realizing they have to pivot. I think things will get better. It doesn't matter, their fundamentals are strong. They sell the cooling liquid for AI chips and just recently became a certified supplier for Samsung. What is that ticker? What is that ticker, Ignacio? CC. Thank you for sharing. Okay, it's not pulling up, but I'm interested in this. Kind of reminds me of like an NBIS type of company. Okay, it's not Cocoa Features. All right, CC. Oh, this looks very good. I'm loving the technicals on this. Let me just scale it to a week. Oh, this is looking beautiful. RSI on the weekly oversold. It had that pop, up to like 39. Definitely bullish. Definitely bullish. Just looking at the technicals. Um, yeah, thanks for sharing that, man. I will definitely monitor them. Appreciate that. I had to put that on my phone. So that's looking very bullish, man. So hope that helps everyone as well. Be on the lookout. Ignacio's giving the hot play. CC. I remember someone, called out, NBIS. That was when it was $13, and what has happened since it went up to $70. So, I might not know what's, going to be the hot plays. I think, everyone here has, some hidden gems that can really add value to everyone. So appreciate you sharing that, Ignacio. All right. Well, because we have a 3-day holiday, I'm going to end it, much shorter. I've been, doing a lot of research and all that. It does take a lot of time and effort. And I'm just going to end it shorter just so at least I could just give my mind a rest and break. And, I'll continue to make videos. And if you haven't already done so, definitely subscribe, hit the like to All I See Is W. Really appreciate you all joining. Digistim, that's a great question. If you had to choose one, BMNR or SBET, that's tough. I can't choose between one or the other. I just go half and half. You know what I mean? Whatever assets I have, I could just do half if I go into those two companies. Yeah, go for both. I mean, you think about it, BMNR, Tom Lee is the face of Wall Street. SBET, you got the co-founder of Ethereum, so he understands the technical aspect. And now, you also have, ex-employee from BlackRock who created ETHA, so he knows how to build up the company from a financial point of view. So when you bridge the gap between the developer of ETH as well as Wall Street, you're going to make a giant company. But overall, BMNR, Tom Lee has the backing. Wall Street, everyone knows him. Kathy Woods knows him and invested. So BMNR does have a big name as well. So definitely, I love both. That's why I go with both, just like what Just Keep Gaming is saying. But thank you, Katie. I appreciate you being able to join, even though you had plans and all that. So I really appreciate the ongoing support and the love that you all give. That gives me the feel to continue doing this. So thank you. Really appreciate it. And with all of that, I hope you all enjoyed the 45-minute live stream. Thank you. Hope you all have a good rest of the Sunday, as well as having a restful and enjoyable Monday. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Take care, guys.